They laughed so hard some of them cried. I just stood there frozen, the sharp, sickening stench hitting me before I even saw it. But when I opened my backpack and saw the smeared, warm mess sludging over my books, my lunch, my sketch pad, I knew. I knew it wasn't just a prank. It was a message. And when Madison locked eyes with me from across the room, her smile curling like smoke from a slow-burning fire, I knew exactly who sent it. That was the day something in me cracked. My name's Eliza Tran. I'm 16 years old. Quiet, average, invisible, or I was, until I somehow became their favorite target. I guess to girls like Madison and her minions, people like me are entertainment. I'm not loud, I'm not pretty, and I don't wear the right brands. And I didn't have the guts to fight back. Not yet. It was third period biology. I walked in like any other day, gripping my backpack straps tightly, trying not to make eye contact. As I sat down, something already felt wrong. People were whispering more than usual. My name popped up barely audible behind snickers. When I placed my bag on the floor beside me, I felt the warmth, the wrong kind of warmth seeping through the bottom. Confused, I reached down and unzipped it. That's when the horror hit me. Dog poop. Real reeking dog poop. Smeared all over my textbooks, soaking into my hoodie, coating my lunch. I gagged, jumped back, and knocked over my chair. The entire class exploded into laughter. Even Mr. Day just stared, unsure if he should intervene or laugh along with the rest. Bon appetit, freak! Someone yelled. I didn't even have to look up to know who said it. Madison Banks. Queen of the school. Cheer captain, flawless smile, thousands of followers. And a soul made of black ice. She leaned back in her chair like she was watching a comedy show. Did your mom pack that for you? Or is that just what you usually eat? The room roared. I felt my eyes sting. My throat tightened. My legs shook. I wanted to run, scream, throw up, but instead, I stood still. Humiliated. Numb. Something inside me disconnected as I stared at the filth dripping from my things. The bell rang, but I didn't move. Neither did anyone else. They just kept laughing, filming, whispering. I was the show. And worse, I had no idea how many more episodes they were planning. But deep inside that broken moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in months, anger. Not fear, not shame, just pure pulsing anger. And I swore it wouldn't end like this. It wasn't always like this. There was a time not long ago when I could walk through the halls without feeling like prey. When people didn't flinch at the sight of me, or worse, smirk like I was a walking joke. The shift started 4 months ago. One moment I was a background character, and the next I was enemy number one. All it took was a stupid misunderstanding and a girl like Madison to turn it into blood sport. It was during Spirit Week. I had been paired with Madison on a school project. She barely showed up to class, so I did all the work. When the presentation came, I spoke while she smiled and nodded. Our teacher, Mr. Day, gave us an A+. But the next morning, Madison cornered me near my locker. "You told him I didn't help, didn't you?" she hissed. "What? No, I didn't say anything." Liar. I tried to explain, but she was already walking away, her stiletto boots clacking like a ticking bomb. That afternoon, the whispers started. Little things, giggles behind my back, sticky notes that said teacher's pet slapped on my locker, but that was just the warm-up. The following week, they jammed gum into my water bottle straw. The week after, someone replaced my deodorant with mayonnaise. My parents thought I was clumsy, forgetful. I didn't correct them. What would I even say? The popular girls think I'm some kind of chew toy, and I have no idea how to stop them. Each time I told myself it would pass, but it didn't. They escalated slowly, deliberately, like they enjoyed testing how far they could go without getting caught. How much I'd tolerate before snapping. They called it harmless fun. They called me overdramatic. They said, "It's just a joke, Eliza, relax." But I knew what it really was, punishment. Madison didn't care about the project. She cared about power. And I had accidentally bruised her ego. That made me the perfect punching bag. I didn't have the right look, the right friends, or the social armor to defend myself. I was the weird art girl who liked old books and wore knockoff sneakers. The girl who sat alone at lunch and stuttered when called on. An easy target. a satisfying one. I cried in the bathroom stall so often it felt like a second home. I started keeping spare clothes in my locker. I even stopped drawing because every time I did, someone would steal my sketchbook and leave it defaced with cruel messages like, "Draw yourself a personality." I became quieter, smaller, and they grew louder, until that day in biology class when they crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. That was the day something inside me snapped, and I finally started thinking about how to make it stop. I washed my hands 5 times that night, scrubbed under my fingernails until they stung, burned the backpack in our backyard fire pit while my parents were out unable to stand the thought of it existing in the same house as me. Still, I couldn't erase the smell, or the sound, the laughter. It followed me into my shower, into my sleep, into my bones. The next morning, I pretended to be sick. My mom touched my forehead and frowned but didn't argue. She was too busy rushing off to work anyway. That's how most of our conversations went, short, rushed, distracted. My dad wasn't even in the picture anymore, hadn't been for 3 years. It should have been obvious to her that something was wrong, but I was good at pretending. Fake smiles, shrugged shoulders, just tired. It's amazing how easy it is to lie when you're invisible. I spent most of the day curled under my blanket phone off blinds closed. The silence was heavy. Not peaceful, just empty. Like the world had quietly decided I didn't matter. Around 3 p.m., my phone vibrated. I knew I shouldn't check it, but I did. And there it was, a video, posted on Madison's spam account. Over 100 likes. Captioned, "Bon appetit. Free lunch. Freak show." It showed me opening the backpack. My reaction? The horror on my face. Someone had zoomed in, added vomiting emojis, and layered fake gagging sounds over the audio. The comments made my stomach turn. "She looks like she actually eats that lol. Bet her mom packed it for real. Why's she always so dramatic? It's a prank, not a war." One comment, though, hit differently. "She's too weak to do anything. She'll just cry like always." I stared at that for a long time. Too weak. Just cry. They weren't wrong. That was all I ever did. Let it happen. Pretend it didn't. Cry in private. But something had shifted in me. Something darker. Not evil, just done. Done being quiet. Done being afraid. That evening I pulled out my old sketchbook, the one I hadn't opened in weeks. Its cover was stained, the pages creased. But it was mine. I flipped to a blank page. And I started drawing. Not flowers, not animals. I drew them. Every detail. Every cruel smirk. Every label on their designer bags. Every chipped nail under their perfect acrylics. I memorized their features like a hunter memorizes prey. Because this time I wasn't going to cry. I was going to create something they'd never forget. And for once I wasn't afraid of getting my hands dirty. The next day I went back to school like nothing had happened. My stomach was tight, but my face was calm, too calm. I walked the halls with my head up, ignoring the whispers and the occasional, "Hey Eliza, hungry for another special lunch." If they noticed anything different, they didn't show it. Madison and her crew were by the lockers laughing about something on Madison's phone. I didn't have to guess what it was. I caught a glimpse of the video thumbnail, my horrified face frozen mid-gasp. My hands clenched, but I kept walking. During lunch, I overheard them in the hallway by the vending machines. They were bragging to some guys from the football team, retelling the dog poop story like it was the funniest thing that had ever happened. Madison's voice carried like poison. "She looked like she was gonna puke all over her own bag," Madison said, giggling. "Honestly, I think she liked it. Freak probably eats worse stuff at home." The boys laughed and one of them added, "You're so savage, Mads." I ducked behind a corner, my heart pounding. I should have left, but I stayed. I listened. "You know what we should do next?" Jenna Madison's sidekick chimed in. "We should dump a whole trash can on her right in front of the cafeteria. Bet she won't even fight back. She'll just stand there like the loser she is." They all cackled. The sound was like nails on my skin. And in that moment, I felt something sharp and cold slice through me. Not fear, not sadness. Resolve. I walked past them deliberately close enough for Madison to notice. She smirked. "Hey, Eliza," she called. "How's your bag? Smell like home yet?" I didn't answer. Didn't give her the satisfaction of a flinch. I just looked her dead in the eye for half a second, long enough to make her shift slightly, and kept walking. Inside, my mind was racing. I didn't want another confrontation. I wanted something that would make them stop forever. Something that would flip the script. Something they couldn't laugh off. That afternoon, I stayed after school. While the halls were empty, I scoped out Madison's locker. I knew the code. I'd seen her carelessly spin it open 100 times. She never thought anyone was paying attention, but I was. I memorized the inside perfume makeup notebooks with her name written in bold, looping letters. And right there on the top shelf, her lunchbox. Perfect. I had an idea. A nasty, perfect idea. That night I gathered supplies, rubber gloves, plastic wrap, my brother's GoPro camera that he never used. I had a plan to catch everything. If they wanted a freak show, I'd give them one. But this time, I'd be the director. And they'd never see it coming. It happened on a Thursday. I woke up with a strange sense of calm. My fingers didn't shake as I packed my bag. My heart didn't pound like it usually did on school mornings. I was ready not just for school, but for war. I left the house early, GoPro hidden beneath my hoodie, plastic gloves, tucked inside my sketchbook. The night before, I'd prepped everything. I even practiced the timing in my room. This wasn't going to be a messy, impulsive act. It was going to be controlled, precise, devastating. When I arrived at school, the halls were still mostly empty. I waited near the stairwell until the first bell rang. As students poured in, I slipped into the East Wing corridor, where Madison's locker sat like a throne. I ducked out of camera view. I knew where the blind spots were, and quickly opened her locker using the combination I'd memorized. I pulled out her pink bento lunchbox, still sealed. Then I unzipped my bag. Inside was my surprise, a small Tupperware container filled with, you guessed it, dog poop. Fresh. Courtesy of my neighbor's giant German shepherd whom I'd walked the day before. I opened her lunchbox, removed her neatly packed sushi, and replaced it with the warm, disgusting mass. Sealed it back up, wiped everything down, carefully slid it back into place. Then I stuck a small air freshener into the locker to cover the smell I needed, the timing to be perfect. Not too early, not too late. As students bustled into third period, I returned to class like nothing happened. I doodled in my notebook, waited, smiled at Madison as she walked by. And then came lunch. I made sure I sat near their usual table, not too close, but close enough to watch. To capture it all with my hidden GoPro now clipped low to my bag, angled at their table. Madison opened her lunchbox with the flair of a diva unboxing luxury makeup. Then she froze. The smell hit her first, her face twisted, confused, then horrified. She pulled back the lid slowly and let out a high-pitched shriek that silenced half the cafeteria. "What the hell is this?" she screamed, gagging. Jenna leaned over to look and recoiled so hard she knocked over her smoothie. "Oh my God, is that someone put dog shit in my lunchbox?" Madison yelled, standing up, furious, panicked. "Who did this?" The entire cafeteria erupted in stunned laughter. Phones whipped out. Cameras rolled. But for once, it wasn't me in the center of the chaos. It was her. Madison looked around wild-eyed. She was actually crying. Her mascara smeared. Her image, her perfect, untouchable image, shattered in a single moment. And me? I just sat there, quiet, smiling, reclaiming the power they stole from me one vile bite at a time. I didn't expect it to go viral, but by that evening the clip was everywhere, first on anonymous school accounts, then TikTok, then even a few meme pages. The title was brutal. Cheer Queen opens dog poop. Bento, instant karma. It had over 60,000 views before Madison could even react. The comments were ruthless. Didn't she do that to someone else first? Serves her right. That girl's a bully. Revenge is a dish best served with dog poop. For the first time in months, people weren't laughing at me, they were laughing at her. The school's golden girl. Exposed. Vulnerable. Human. And humiliated. The next morning, I walked into school expecting to get dragged into the principal's office. But I didn't. No one said a word. Not even Madison. She sat silently in homeroom sunglasses on indoors. Her voice gone, her hands trembling. Her two sidekicks avoided eye contact, whispering like scared children. The power they used to walk in with that cocky, cruel energy was gone, replaced by silence. Later that day, I overheard her crying in the girls' bathroom. "I can't show my face anymore," she sobbed. "Everyone's calling me Mads the Poop Princess. I didn't do anything that bad." She just flipped out. That's the thing about bullies. They rewrite the past the second the spotlight's not on you. Suddenly, their jokes were harmless. Suddenly, they were the victims. But the students didn't buy it. People began coming up to me quietly between classes. "Hey, Eliza! I saw what they did to you. I'm sorry I laughed." Honestly, you're kind of a legend. Even my biology teacher pulled me aside after class. "You didn't deserve what happened," he said, looking ashamed. None of it. Madison never got officially punished. She never confessed. But it didn't matter. Her image was shattered, her reign ended. And I didn't need anyone to fight for me, because I had done it myself. Revenge wasn't what healed me. It didn't undo the pain or erase the weeks of humiliation, but it gave me something I hadn't felt in a long time: control. I started drawing again, not just in secret, but in public. I joined the art club. I spoke up in class. I started existing without apology. Madison stopped coming to school for a while, and when she returned, she sat alone. Some people might say I stooped to her level. Maybe, maybe not. But what I know for sure is this: she doesn't look at me like I'm prey anymore. She doesn't look at me at all. If there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that silence doesn't protect you. It only makes you easier to ignore. For so long, I thought if I stayed small, stayed quiet, the bullies would stop. But they don't stop. Not until you remind them that you exist, that you feel that you won't let them walk all over you without consequence. I'm not proud of what I did. But I'm not ashamed either. I stood up for myself in the only language they understood. And when I finally fought back, I found something stronger than fear: self-respect. To anyone going through what I did, you don't have to fight dirty. But you do have to fight. Speak. Scream. Draw. Write. Do whatever it takes to remind them and yourself that you're not a victim. You're a person, and you deserve to be treated like one. Always.